Hello everybody, welcome back to the show. I've got my good friend Kevin here, and Kevin is my next door neighbor, so I see him all the time. You've been gone for a while. Where'd you go?
We spent 2 weeks on the island of Luzon, which is the island Manila's on.
Okay.
And that's where Jenna Lynn is from. Jenna Lynn is from, if you looked at a map of Luzon, Jenna Lynn is at about where 10 o'clock would be, in a city called Vegan City.
Yeah.
But we flew into Manila, went and checked out BGC.
How'd you like that? I was there. I liked it.
Yes. And let's preface this with, okay, I did this trip during Christmas week.
Yeah.
There are twice as many people on that island than would be there any other time.
Right.
So traffic was horrible, even worse than normal. So it took us an hour to go less than 6 miles from the airport to get to BGC.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that...
I've done that exact same run, and it took like 15 minutes.
Yeah, so, you know, traffic was horrible and everything, but once you get there, clean streets, no dogs, no roosters, Texas Roadhouse, Olive Garden, you know, restaurants that, you know...
Very Americanized stuff.
Yeah.
Very walkable, too.
Yes, completely walkable.
Yeah.
That part was good.
You think that's a place you could ever live?
No, because I'm a nature guy.
That's right, yeah.
You know, I mean, I've got to have my water, my snorkeling, my mountains, waterfalls, and all that. So, you know, that was another reason why I couldn't live in Elo Elo. As cool of a place as that is.
Yeah, I went there too. It just didn't resonate with me for some reason. The mall was okay, but I like Dumaguete way better than that. And I know they've got more things there to do, more amenities and stuff, more activities, and well, I just like it here better. On one of your previous videos while you were gone that you posted, I think this is where Jenna Lynn lives or where she's from. It looked like a European city, like in Spain or someplace like that. Where was that, and what was that place like? That
is Vegan City, and that was, I want to say it was started in the 13th century by a Spanish guy. So that's colonial Spanish architecture. I actually say European architecture, and even though Spain is on that continent, you'd be surprised how many people corrected me on that is colonial Spanish or whatever architecture. And the cobblestone streets and that architecture is just beautiful. It's great that they're preserving it the way they are. One of the streets we walked down, they were repairing it, and they were coming right back and making it a cobblestone street.
Nice.
So, you know, it was pretty cool. It's a very small town. Not a whole lot of expats. I don't know who got stared at more, me or her. You know, she always gets stared at. You know, because
did you meet any people there? Or any expats or anybody interesting?
In that city, no. No, actually.
Now,
no.
were you kind of doing? I thought you mentioned before you're kind of doing a reconnaissance to see if maybe Dumaguete or Bacong is not where you want to live for the rest of your life. Maybe might be some other place in the Philippines that you like better. Did you see any place that you thought in the back of your mind, you know, someday I could live here?
We've got to go back, but Baguio was awesome.
Really?
High of 73, low of 65 every day.
That's the place up in the mountain, right?
Yes. Now again, it was holiday traffic, and it's a mountain town, so you know there's not a whole lot of lanes and everything to go through, so traffic was not good. But it checks the boxes for nature. They've got some stuff to do that. No swimming, and I mean it's too cold to swim. In fact, every place we stayed at, even the ones that did have a pool, they didn't even have water in them because it's too cold.
Wow.
But you know, living here, I mean, right now it feels great out here. But I mean, we have our days. We go out in the sun at 10 a.m. and it's 92 degrees Fahrenheit. You know, and if we're lucky, it'll get down to what, 80, 77 at night here.
I don't know.
So.
Doesn't bother me at all, really, you know, like, of course, I'm in the ocean every day. Now, you made a video the other day that you posted. You sent me a link to it, and I thought it was a great video. But then you deleted it, and that video, the title of it was, I Can't Afford to Live in the Philippines Anymore. Can you give me some idea, like, you know, just a synopsis of what that was about and why you took it down?
Okay, sure. For those of you guys who don't know, I'm 58. Too young to get Social Security. Got 4 more years for that. I do have a little YouTube channel. It's monetized, but my girlfriend gets all that money. So for me to pay my bills, I sell stock options, weekly stock options. And when times are good, like now, I'm making very good money. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And I am paying an incredible amount of taxes. And I pay quarterly.
But is it less than you thought it was going to be from what you said this morning?
Well, I deleted the video this morning, and it was an amazing video. It would have been my best video ever. I mean, I had 22,000 views, picked up 360 subscribers in 12 hours. And I deleted it before the peak viewing hours, which would be, you know, right about now.
Yeah.
And, you know, who knows, would have probably been my first 100,000 view video. But since I'm not going, what I was going to do, okay, I'm paying a lot of taxes, paying less than what I thought after talking to my accountant this morning. You know, and if you are one of the people who saw the video, I mean, from the very get-go, I said, I may do this depending on what my accountant says.
Yeah, you had made a decision. You said that. Yeah,
right.
Very clear.
And so what I may have done was move to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has a thing called Act 60. It's a way to attract higher income people to come in and invest. And if everything would have worked out right, the money that I make off stocks, it's not earned income, it's capital gains. But what I do, I flip. I do stuff every week. I don't hold it long enough for it to be long-term capital gains. So I get taxed at short-term capital gains rates, which is a lot more. And it turns out that Act 60 does not cover that. It does cover long-term gains. And also, there was another stipulation. Even though Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, I would have had to become a bona fide resident, which means, you know, giving up the U.S. citizenship. And
what? Wait.
Yeah.
Citizen? Yeah, but
that's
Puerto Rico's.
It's a U.S. territory.
They have a U.S. passport, though.
Yeah, you don't even need a passport to get in there if you're a U.S. citizen. But to use this Act 60, I would have to become a bona fide resident.
Yeah, I see that.
And that alone, I've got to be there for 547 days for that to kick in.
Well, I didn't know that it changed your passport in any way, shape, or form. That really surprises me. My friend Jeff lives there.
No, it won't change the passport. But I do have to, what my accountant was saying, I was saying the same thing you are. I'm like, but it's a U.S. territory. Why do I have to do that? And she says, no, there's another thing. There are two things, long-term resident or something like that, which used to qualify you for Act 24 and a couple of other programs they had in the past, is completely different than being a bona fide resident. And I would literally have to be a Puerto Rican citizen.
But so you give up your American passport, your citizenship.
No, yeah, the citizenship.
Okay, so you get up your citizenship, and then in return you get another U.S. passport that's every bit as good as the original passport. Almost sounds like a good thing to do, because you're no taxes.
Yes, you know, and like
There's
I said,
no income tax there either, is there?
There is. I mean, there is a Puerto Rican IRS and everything. There are. That deal, if I would have qualified and everything, would have been good for 10 years. And then, but they keep tweaking it. You know, this is a thing that's been in place for a while, and every year they keep changing it. Like now, if I would have qualified, I would have had to contribute $10,000 to a charity. You know, they give me a list of charities. I have to pick one of those, and then within 2 years, I would have to buy residential property, which I didn't really have a problem with.
Now, this is true for an American citizen, or sounds like it's something that's set up for foreigners?
No, they want high-income earners, specifically Americans. And it's actually, the IRS is coming down hard on people right now because a lot of Americans have gone over there. You got to stay there 183 days or more to qualify for this. And that's after you become the bona fide resident. Well, there's a lot of Americans going over there who are hiring assistants and giving them their credit cards and debit cards, so they're using them, so they have a paper trail. It looks like they're there.
That's very clever.
And the IRS is
smart people, you know.
The IRS has caught on, though. You know.
So. Well, aren't there benefits to say just going to Puerto Rico and getting an apartment there and putting it down as your primary residence and just staying as long as you want? Do you get any benefits there at all? Like when you file your U.S. taxes, that, you know, where do you live? Oh, I live in Puerto Rico, and you can prove you live there, but you also live other places too. Is there any benefits to that?
No, because all of my income comes from capital gains.
Oh.
And now the other benefit would be Puerto Rican food,
Yeah.
you know, compared to here.
Yeah, I've been to Puerto Rico many times, sailing in and out of there on cruise ships. I love Puerto Rico. It's a great country.
I was really looking forward to it.
Got a good friend of mine that lives over there, and he invests in multi apartment buildings and stuff. Anyway, so have you ever thought? You think you'll ever move back to America?
No.
No, because
Not
you
a
definitely
chance.
decided that. Have you ever thought? You ever watched the YouTube channel? What's it called? His saying is "Go where you're treated best."
Yeah, Andrew.
Nomad,
Andrew. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I
Nomad
bought his
capitalist.
book. Nomad.
Yeah.
I bought his book.
Well, he's given up his American citizenship. Have you ever thought about going that far and getting citizenship in another country? That one of the places he suggests.
Once my parents pass, I may. You know, my mom's going to turn 80 next month, and my dad will be 84 on St. Patrick's Day, but they're both in great health.
Yeah.
You know, I was just talking to my dad yesterday, who's a Hoosier,
Yeah.
you know, grew up with basketball, but at 80, he'll be 84 on St. Patrick's Day. He hit 53 free throws in a row the other day.
Wow.
You know, so they're in great
Yeah.
health. So that's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
Well,
but
if you did do that, any thoughts on where you would go?
there's a couple different places. You know, one of the biggest places that he deals with, you know, he's got homes in Georgia,
Yeah.
in
Georgia's
Eastern,
very welcome, right next to.
in Ukraine and
Yeah.
all, you know, in that area, Moldova,
Yeah.
all that. All those places are very accommodating. I mean, you put money in their banks and they're paying 10, 12% in their
Wow.
banks. They want you there, and their cost of living is relative to here. You know, people over there make $400 to $600 a month.
Yeah.
So you can live in,
It's right next to Albania and Poland and all
yeah,
those places. Yeah.
and that whole little area is not a bad place. He's also got a home in either Medellin.
yeah, Colombia. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there or what's the other place in Colombia? But he's got it there,
Cartagena.
Cartagena,
Yeah.
and he's also got Malaysia.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Kuala
Yeah, that's right,
Lumpur.
Malaysia. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, for the thing that you do with stocks, you said you use Robinhood, or who do you use?
well, I have Robinhood and Schwab, but at one time I had Robinhood, Schwab, and TD Ameritrade. TD
They
Ameritrade
got bought
bought
by
out
Schwab,
Schwab,
yeah.
so that is now switched over.
I thought Schwab bought TD American.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Well, if you decide to live in another country, what brokerage firm can you use to do the exact same thing you're doing now, and live anywhere you want in the world? Because I know these other countries, they require that you be an American citizen to have access to their firm.
That is correct. And a buddy of mine who lives here, he's an Australian, Adrian. I've taught him how to do the strategies that I do. And he found an international broker that will allow him to trade U.S. stocks. And in fact, we were supposed to meet tonight so I could find out what brokerage that is, because my girlfriend, what I do is so simple. Jenna Lynn does it. Jenna Lynn has 100 shares of a stock. Every week she sells a covered call contract and makes $100 at least a week.
Wow, that's great for a Filipino.
Oh yeah, and so she gets all the money from my YouTube channel. So each month we're putting more and more in, and soon if we get that up to 200 shares, then double that. 300 shares, triple that monthly income. By the end of the year, she could be in the top 1% income bracket in the Philippines.
Wow.
Of course, that doesn't mean much. I think that peaks at 14.9. So, you know, 15,000 a year. But
Still, though, at her age, it's really good.
oh yeah, and but I was supposed to meet with Adrian tonight to find out what brokerage firm that was, but for now I don't know. I will tell you though, he pays higher commissions than even Schwab.
Well, the thing is, though, if you're using a firm like that, is that income and those trades, are they reported to the IRS in America?
You know, that's a great question. I really don't know.
I just wonder if you can sail underneath the radar, you know, and like if maybe it would be taxed as foreign income and not necessarily capital gains because you're not doing it in America.
That's a great question that I need to look into. Thanks for bringing that up. And, you know, like he's an Australian who lives here. The U.S. is one of 3 countries. It's Canada, and I don't know the third one, but only 3 countries tax their people who live outside the country.
Oh,
He's
really?
from Australia, so he pays no taxes.
Oh. Well, going to Georgia, I've never been there, but I've heard really good things about it and watched a lot of videos. But I considered going there myself a long time ago. Can you bring a Filipino there?
You know, it's probably easier than
Yeah.
trying to get into a Western European country or, you know, or the U.S. or Puerto Rico, something like that. Another thing, I can look at that. You know, that's not a bad, another good idea for me to check into. Thank you.
Well, you know, you mentioned yesterday on your video, I guess it was, that you were going to, when you were thinking about going to Puerto Rico, that you were going to let Jenna and her mother take some trips to Malaysia, to Thailand, Vietnam, places like that, get some stamps in her passport.
Yep.
But also you said that you had an agency you were working on getting a tourist visa for her. Are you still going to follow through with those things? I think those are all
Absolutely.
great ideas. Yeah, those are great ideas.
Absolutely.
And by the way, I know I have several friends of mine with Filipino, both wives and girlfriends, who all got a tourist visa. They're all approved.
Great.
And so I think it might be a little easier than you thought, you know.
I hope so. And like I said, the company I'm dealing with is called ivisa.com, and they told me that they have gotten Filipinos approved to go to Puerto Rico, but you do have to have an in-person interview with an office in Manila. So you got the Philippine bureaucracy paperwork, and they said it does take, you know, over 6 months to get that visa. So we were actually not even counting on it happening this year. We were going to do it for January of 2025.
Well, if you're interested, on February 8th, this is kind of a little leak of something that we got going on. The U.S. Embassy will be hosting an event at Ground Zero on February 8th from 7 o'clock in the morning all the way until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. One of the departments, Veterans Affairs, will be there all day, but they'll have a representative from Social Security, from Immigration, from all the departments the U.S. Embassy has at Ground Zero. So you actually want to sit down and ask some questions to the actual person that you'd be dealing with in Manila. They're going to be here in Dumaguete on the 8th of February.
Wow.
And so, you know.
I think I'll show up for
Yeah,
that.
might find out some useful information.
Absolutely.
I talked to you earlier because, you know, you're a math guy. You're really quick with numbers, and so what you're doing now, I know it sounds very simple to you, and it works really easy for you. You even got your girlfriend doing it, which is amazing. I think it's because she's smart too. But you know, for me, it's beyond my abilities. I know that. But have you ever thought about doing a course? Because I was thinking, like, so many guys that you have to have, first of all, in order to do what you do, you got to have some cash. You got money in the bank. Like,
yes.
What would you say is the minimum amount to get started? Like 50,000, something like that, or?
In fact, you don't even need that much. You could start, even say right now, the stocks that I deal with are, say, $23.50 a share. You could do 10 contracts, which is 10 100 share contracts, which would be $23,500. And each of those contracts right now, these are 1 week contracts. A contract you make on Monday, it's over on Friday. You know, each one of those 10 contracts, if it stays the same for what I'm looking at next week, are paying, I think, $138 each.
Wow.
So that'd be $1,380 next week on $23,500. I mean, think of that percentage, y'all.
Is there a minimum? Can you just have like 5 stocks, or you have to have like a?
To do options, no. You have to have 100 shares to do a contract.
And
yes.
so, on the shares, the stocks that you work with, what's the minimum, the cheapest one where you could get in with 100 shares? Like, rough idea of as far as money to invest.
I did delete the video that I did yesterday, but during that video I mentioned that, hey, I'll do a video if y'all are interested. And I got an overwhelming response for it. So probably Monday, I'm going to do a video showing 3 stocks that for $7,500 a year, and I'll explain during the video why that's relevant. But 3 stocks, $7,500 a year. One of the stock's about $10.50 right now, so 100 shares would be $1,050.
No, that's very reasonable. I
will show you that right now, for a year, that that's paying about 19.6%. You know, I've done some preliminary numbers on it.
That's incredible.
Well, that'll be the middle tier of that. I'm also going to show a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust. It's not for options, it's for dividends. But the particular one I'm going to show you pays a 9.96% dividend, pays it out monthly. And I'll show you how to reinvest that dividend to where you're buying stock every month, just little bitty pieces of it. But at the end of the year, you'll have 11 more shares, and I'm going to show you the compound thing. But the third thing that I'm putting in there, that's going to cost you about $4,500 for 100 shares. That one pays about 38 or 39% annually, which is way less than what I make.
Now, whenever you're talking about investing or anything like this, people, the red flags go up. Oh man, this is a con, this is a scam. You're trying to take my money. The money never leaves their hands, does it? It's their money. It's their account. They have complete control over it. They can do what they want with it. You're just telling them how to take their money and do something with their money. You're not giving it to anybody, you know?
If any of your viewers own 100 shares of stock, no matter what it is, they can do covered call options, and there is no way, absolutely no way, you can lose money selling covered calls unless you sell the stock for less than you paid for it.
Right.
And you are the one who decides what price you'd be willing to sell it for. So if you're dumb enough to set that price for less than you paid for it, then yes, you deserve to lose money. But if you buy a stock for $10 and you decide on Monday that you'd sell it for 11 on Friday, making 10%, not a bad week. You do that every week, that's 520% annualized. Okay, you decide you're going to sell it for $11. Well, say I make that deal with you. You're an optimist. You think that stock's going to go to $14 in 1 week. Well, for us making the deal, you have to pay me a premium to do this. You might have to pay me 40 cents a share, which is $40 for a 100 share contract. So, you know, 40 cents times 100. And a few things are going to happen. 85% of the time, it doesn't reach $11. It might get up to $10.80, but it doesn't reach $11. Our deal expires harmlessly on Friday. I had to put up 100 shares collateral. You had to put up 1,100 in collateral just in case it hit 11, because you would have to buy it then. But when we make the deal, you give me that $40. That's my money to keep no matter what. So if that deal expires on Friday, harmlessly at 1080, never reaches 11, I get my 100 shares back to do it again. You get your $1,100 back that you put up. I keep your $40, and then I do it again on Monday with someone else. Now, we're also talking about, I do that on a much higher level, you know, not just one contract. You know, but
is there ever times when you know this is a good deal, you know what you want to do, and but there's no buyers on the other end that's going to take the deal?
It depends on what brokerage firm you use. Robinhood, which is very user-friendly and everything, the prices they give you and everything aren't really what the market value is. If you use Schwab, Fidelity, someone like that, you have two options you can do. You can do the market value, which is what the price is at that moment. No matter what, as soon as you click, I want to do this, boom, somebody else picks it up. Or you can do a limit contract. And like I said, I paid 10, and say it's only paying 30 cents per share. And I don't like 30 cents. So I'll say, you know what? I'll put in, I want 45 cents or $45 a contract, and I will set that as a limit price, and that's good for the whole day. If the stock moves up enough or whatever, and somebody says, you know what, I'll pay 45, then boom, it's gone. If not, at the end of the day, I start over the next day. Most of the time, though, I just pick the market price. You know, I do my stuff Monday morning, well, Monday night. The stock market opens at 10:30 at night here. So most of the time, if I'm doing the covered call strategy, which is what we're discussing now, things are normally at their best Monday morning for the first hour. So that's the best time for me to do covered calls. I can do everything for the week in 10 minutes.
That was another question I had for you. You told me the other night how the stock market opens at 10-something our time, and I was thinking, God, that means like every night you have to, you know, stay up all night long and do this, you know, but it's only one day a week, huh?
Pretty much.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
It's worth staying up one day a week to make that kind of money.
Absolutely. You know, and I've watched, there are certain times, for me, you'll look, the first hour is good. Then normally at about 11:30 Central Time in the U.S., by now everyone's awake. Everyone in Mountain Time, Pacific Time is awake. And you might see a dip from 11:30 to about 1:30. You might see a dip. That's a great time to do your puts, which is the opposite strategy.
Yeah.
And then it'll normally kind of go up a little bit towards the end of the day. And it's really kind of consistent. So when I'm doing calls, which I'm doing now, that means I own all the stock. You know, right now I'm dealing with 4,900 shares of one stock, 7,800 shares of another. So for the calls, boom, by 10:45, I'm normally done. Then I can go to sleep, and I'm done for the week.
How long have you been doing this?
Started during when the plague, what was it?
COVID.
COVID.
Yeah.
When that started, a friend of mine introduced me to stocks and everything. I've always had a math mind.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I made money betting on sports, fantasy football. Always had a math mind. I've got notebooks in this house. You can open up. Not a single word on that page, but you can open up to that page and I can tell you what I was doing in my mind just by looking at those numbers.
Wow.
And so, you know, I just love playing with numbers. I see numbers. Kind of weird. Kind of like Rain Man, but hopefully cooler. But, you know, so a friend of mine got me in, and in 2021, there was a thing going on called Wall Street Bets. Don't know if you're familiar with it. Well, there were a bunch of young guys, 18 to 25, and they just came in and started messing with hedge funds. If you ever saw the movie...
GameStop.
Yeah, GameStop, AMC. That's what that was.
I watched that movie just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's what that was. So, you know, all these kids came in, and what happens is hedge funds were shorting AMC and GameStop.
Right.
Which means they were borrowing millions of shares at $10 a share, selling it for $10 a share, had to repay it, say 30 days later, but they knew the stock was going to tank, so they were rebuying it, repaying it at $2 a share, making $8 a share profit. Well, these young kids came in and just said, you know what? We're going to screw you guys. They came in and just started buying GameStop and AMC. They got GameStop up to like $305.
Dumb Money, that's the name of the movie. That was a good movie.
I didn't even know it was out there, but they actually almost bankrupted a hedge fund. A hedge fund had to borrow $2.5 billion from another hedge fund to repay that.
There's a scene there where the guy lost $1 billion in a day.
Yeah. You know, and that's crazy. If you watch Trading Places, what those guys
Love
do.
That movie. Love that movie.
Yeah. Oh, it was fantastic. And actually, in Coming to America, did you?
I watched that too. Yeah.
Did you see when he gives the bums the money? That's them.
Yeah.
But the puts that they do are not what I do. It's completely different. What they do is very risky. What I do is not. But by the time I got into it, everyone knew about it. You know, I mean, when the lady who's cutting your hair, a little Asian lady, is, oh, you know GameStop? You know, it's too late. You know, so when I got in, I didn't make any money and lost a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? This sucks. And so I started looking around, looked at day trading. Too risky.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
know a lot of guys thought they knew what they were doing, and then they lost the money.
Yeah. And then, but there's another thing. And now I can't think of the name of it, a little brain fart, but it's not day trading, but it's just like day trading, only it's normally 3 days to a month. And I was doing okay with that. I was making 12% on that. And then I stumbled across a video on options. And, you know, I owned, you know, over 100 shares of a bunch of stocks at this point. And like I said, if you own 100 shares of stocks, you can do covered calls on this. You can find this on whatever brokerage site you're using. You will have to ask permission first to do this. Yeah, not just anybody can do it, because it does take, you know, a little bit of knowledge, you know. But if you go in and just ask for permission to sell covered calls and cash secured puts, that's level 1 on any brokerage. You should get approved on that, at least selling covered calls. So I found out a thing on selling covered calls, and so I checked, I got approved, and the little stock that I did at the time didn't do weekly options. It only did monthly. But it was paying 4% every month.
Wow.
just on the premium. Didn't matter if the stock went up or down. And so I was making these deals, and that was 48% annualized. Think about that, 4% every month. You know, most people are lucky, happy to get 10 to 12.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I'm getting 48 just on that, not counting the movement of the stock. Then I found weekly options, and there are a lot of stocks with weekly options. Tesla, you know, that's one. The stocks that I deal with are weekly as well. Mine are so volatile, I'll never tell you guys. It's just way too volatile, and I'm afraid somebody's going to come in, throw all their money in. I mean, my stock, you know, I should have showed you this before we started, but the stock that I deal with is up 210% since October.
Jeez.
But I mean, it's gone from $8 a share to 31 to 12.
Keep that to yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't want to let y'all know that, but once you start doing weekly stocks, for me, a bad week is 0.5% on my money. That's 26% a year if you get 0.5%, 52 weeks. A good week for me is 10. You know, that's 520. And then if it actually, the covered call actually sells, because like I said, remember, if I buy it at 10, I'm willing to sell it at 11. 85% of the time that doesn't happen. But when it does go up and I have to sell it at 11, well, just remember, I've got 7,800 shares of that. I just made $1 a share on top of all that money. So that's another 7,800 in the week.
Wow. Change the subject here. Have you had any thought, or you invested at all in cryptocurrency at all?
I have a little bit, only to just keep it on my phone. I got a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of Ethereum. Ethereum's...
It's doing pretty well. I got XRP, which kind of stalled lately.
Well, you know, the SEC's got to make the decision here.
I thought they did.
No, they could have made it back in November, but these crybabies are dragging their feet and kicking and screaming. They lost all their court cases, so it's inevitable. So
who lost? The SEC?
The SEC,
Oh,
lost in the Supreme Court. So there could be as many as 10 or 12 ETFs, electronically traded funds, for cryptocurrency. Doesn't mean it's going to be Bitcoin, could be Ethereum or whatever. Well, for an ETF, they have to own the assets. And right now, there is up to $2.6 trillion that could be invested into crypto. So think about that.
Wow.
Bitcoin or Ethereum, you know, if you got that kind of money coming in, even billions coming in, it's going to take off. And that's why Bitcoin has jumped.
Yeah.
You know, it's already being priced in.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, you know, sure appreciate all the information, and subscribers out there, I'll be putting a link to Kevin's channel. Make sure you check it out. And also, if you would like to see some kind of course or consultation or something for Kevin to come up with, I'm sure he'd like to know about that. And make sure to go to his channel, which is...
Too Much Time on My Hands 65.
You got to remember that's 65, guys.
Sorry about that. I didn't know what I was
Too Much Time
doing.
on Your Hands 65.
Too Much Time on My Hands.
Too Much Time on My Hands 65. And a lot of good information there, a lot of great videos, especially if you're looking for a place to rent. He does a lot on houses that are available and apartments available, so that's really useful information. But let him know what you think about all this. And one other thing, question, like a lot of my viewers, they're not necessarily American, they're from all over the world.
Right.
And so if they want to do this, they can't use Charles Schwab, they can't use it, so they have to find their own brokerage firm. Maybe you can tell them like who to go to or whatever, but you know, it's going to be a little bit different from them, but they can still make the same money doing the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Share my videos. I really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks.